Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to session 3 of the Regional Dialogue on Ocean Data Finance and Governance for Sustainable Ocean Development. I'm Cheryl from the University of New South Wales and the Global Ocean Accounts Partnership. And in collaboration with the University of Malaysia, Terengganu, this dialogue brings together countries and institutions across South and Southeast Asia to share how ocean data and accounts are being used to support sustainable ocean development. In our earlier sessions, we explored the value of ocean data and examined the importance of working beyond silos. And today, we're taking the next crucial step by looking at how natural capital accounting may be embedded into the natural systems. So across our region, countries have successfully piloted ocean accounts to better understand the vital connection between marine ecosystems and economic activities. These pilots or projects have generated valuable insights and strengthened data systems. But now we face the critical question on how do we ensure that these efforts don't remain a one-off exercise, and how do we transform pilots and these projects into permanent institutionalized systems that drive real policy change. So today's session will spotlight exactly those questions and sharing not just countries' accomplishment, but how they are building the institutional framework, the legal structure, and the system needed for long-term impact. And to guide all of these important discussions, I'm delighted to introduce our session facilitator, Dr. Kyra Ismail from the University of Malaysia, Terengganu. Kyra, over to you.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Cheryl. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to session 3 of the Regional Dialogue on Ocean Data, Finance and Governance. I'm Kyra Ismail from University of Malaysia, Terengganu, Malaysia, and I'll be your facilitator for this session titled From Pilots to Policy, Embedding Ocean Accounts into National System. So as Cheryl have introduced a little bit on what is the session on today, we've seen that around the region, there's a lot of promising pilot efforts on ocean accounts and also natural capital accounting. But today for this session, we would like to shift the focus on what was done and to how these efforts are being sustained for some that have started and also institutionalized and used to shape national policies and also investment. So we're fortunate today to have with us three prominent speakers bringing diverse country perspective from Indonesia, the Philippines, and also Malaysia. So I will briefly introduce them. So we have from Indonesia, Dr. Firdaus Agong. He is the Director of Ecosystem Conservation at the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, has over 20 years of experience in marine conservation and blue economy strategy. So he will walk us through Indonesia's journey in linking ocean governance and plastic waste accounting with circular economy planning. And then we have representing the Philippines, we welcome Ms. Mary Jane De La Rosa, OIC Assistant Director from the Department of Economy, Planning and Development. With deep experience in biodiversity and sustainable development, she will share insights into the 2024 Philippines Ecosystem and Natural Capital Accounting System law and how the Philippines is embedding natural capital accounts, including marine data, into its planning systems. And lastly, we have from Malaysia, we are joined by Associate Professor Dr. Hazman Samsudin, who is also the director of the Blue Economy Advancement Center, where I am working. He is an expert in economics and sustainable development. He will speak on aligning ocean data with our very own Malaysia Blue Economy Blueprint, which will launch by end of this year, and how this supports innovative financing instruments like blue bonds. So now that I've introduced the three of them, I would we will go into like each speaker will present about 5 minutes, and then we'll transition into a brief panel discussion. So if you have any question, Q&A, please feel free to write on the Q&A chat box, and we'll collect that and also we'll convey that later on in the panel discussion. So I would like to give the floor to Dr. Firdaus to start his talk.
Thank you, Dr. Khaira, for introduction. I just met Professor Wan Izzatul Asma last week in Yogyakarta. It's very
Great to
nice to
hear.
talk about the blue economy and also ocean account future work in Malaysia through University Malaysia Terengganu.
Right.
Colleagues, friend, and resource person, this session I would like to share what we have been doing in Indonesia and what are critical factors that need to be anticipated and also prepare in the beginning of the development of ocean account. This is very important because once we miss these critical factors, we will miss so many opportunities to use ocean account as a policy baseline for the ocean sustainable management, ocean sustainable economy, and also any ocean resource management in the future. So the ocean account work project assessment will be just as a data, just a statistic, just a report, and just a project. That's what situation that nobody would like to see in this ocean account initiative. So the first one is we have to make sure that ocean account based on existing demand. So in this case, of course, the global demand, all all countries have the same situation because it is part of the HDG, part of the CBD, part of the HLP SOE. Some of us may be member of the high-level panel for sustainable ocean economy, but some not. But everybody or most of the country also member of the SDG and CBD initiative. But the national and programmatic demand will be different. So it is important to know in the beginning what is the demand for ocean accounting and what is the demand where ocean accounting can provide support for the successful of the program uh, and the mandate from the existing law or regulation. In Indonesia, we have Law 32, 2014 on ocean management where the blue economy is one of the core program, and then Government Regulation 46, 2017, where the government mandated to develop the environmental account, and then midterm development plan 2025-2029, where ocean account will be used as policy tracking and also performance tracking of the development plan in Indonesia. And also Government Regulation number 5, 2021 on the risk-based permit for business. And the programmatic demand, we have blue economy and we have marine spatial planning. So once we do this mapping, we know there is a demand, we know there is a mandates under regulation and there is a global agenda, we can move forward for the initiation and move forward for engagement with others to make sure that the global agenda, the national demand, and a programmatic requirement can be supplied by ocean account. So it is contextual, it is beneficial, and it is related with what we are going to do in the local, national, and global. Next. This is what we have been doing since 2020, end of 2020, because we were in the pandemic in that time. So we do initiation through online discussion, and then we have a discussion bilaterally with Norway government. Then we develop a pilot project from 2022 to 2023, and now we have at least 10 project sites that apply ocean account. And then all the pilot result and also the capacity building and also the standardization of the methodology, including the dashboard, were launched during the global ocean dialogue in Bali. last year that marked the development of ocean accounting in Indonesia in more comprehensive ways. And then this year, what we are going to do is make a national forum to share the experiences and refine strategies and methodologies. And then next year, we'd like to see that the ocean account operationalized through our policy, to our planning, to our permit system, and monitoring of the biodiversity strategic action plan. Next, so this is the actually the one that really challenging because you can develop as many as account based on your resources, logistics, support, whatever you have. But in the end, you have to make it operationable, implementable. You have to make sure that the policy uptake your ocean account. That's also the decision under the CBD. It's not only valuation that is urged to be developed by countries and organizations, but also how to use the result of the valuation into the policy development. So we have three big element here. The spatial planning process. Make sure that ocean account is part of your marine spatial planning criteria, the ecosystem condition, services, valuation, and you know what is the permit on top of that ecosystem, and you know exactly. And the second block is the data collection. Every parcel of space that you have, what is the impact, what is the changes in the different two-time difference of measurement, and then you know exactly what kind of increase or decrease happen in the ecosystem asset, the flow to economy, flow to environment, ocean economy, and governance. And then using that information, you can make a decision whether you cancel the permit, whether you modify the permit, whether you apply the compulsory rehabilitation or restoration, or you do the changes on the marine spatial planning or changes on the marine protected area side, and also investment criteria and procedure. So this is the end of the game that we would like to see, and we would like to use every available resources, regulation, mandates, agenda, and also system technology to make sure that every investment, every permit are sustainable and the benefit are shared among stakeholders, and we can track the impact from year to year and from the development plan to develop other development. That's what we have learned, and of course we know our context can be different, but at least the general criterion, the general purpose can be applied to any countries. Thank you very much, and happy to have more discussion on this. Back to you, Kyra.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Firdaus. I think it's very commendable to know that you already have almost 10 pilot project and just 5 years in and you're already like going into operationalizing this. It seems that Malaysia have a lot to learn from Indonesia. We'll work on that too. So now I think without further ado, we would like to hear from Miss Mary Jane De La Rosa for her talk on PENCAS Act.
Yes, a pleasant afternoon. And thank you for inviting us to be part of this regional dialogue. As shown in the screen, I'll be discussing to you the Philippine Ecosystem and Natural Capital Accounting Systems Act, or PENCAS Act, which was just enacted last year. And then next slide, please. So what is PENCAS? So this PENCAS law is basically a landmark legislation which intends to have a comprehensive framework to institutionalize natural capital accounting in the Philippines as a way to ascribe economic values to our environment and natural resources. So it is important because through this law, it mandates the development of natural capital accounts. So that includes the asset and flow accounts. And this is being spearheaded by our Philippine Statistics Authority, and also the development of ecosystem accounts, which is currently being spearheaded by our Ministry of Environment. And more importantly, is the use of this collected, of these developed natural capital accounts into policies. And then later on, we envision to use these capital accounts to calculate the natural capital adjusted macroeconomic indicators to ensure that the environmental considerations are indeed reflected in broader economic measures. So in support of these activities are the key components of the accounting system. First is on the data management system. So that would include a collection of data among different data producers. It also covers data interoperability among data producers and the users of the data, meaning the policy analysts, the decision makers, and that also includes the data governance protocols. That is also very important to consider. Another component of this accounting system is on capacity development, which aims to support account compilation and policy use, including uptake of new methodologies. And lastly, the dissemination. So this would basically facilitate the multi-sectoral participation on NCA, making sure that they are utilized, translated into policy application. And we also have a governance mechanism in place here. We have the interagency body called the Interagency Committee on Environment and Natural Resources Statistics, which basically serve as a primary coordinating body connecting the critical actors across the data ecosystems between the data producers, the account compilers, and account users. So through this committee, they are able to facilitate a continuous cycle of data generation, of analysis, uptake, and refinement of the natural capital accounts. So making sure also that they are being utilized for policy formulation and implementation across different sectors. Next slide, please. So this slide basically would elaborate the development of natural capital accounts. And with the PENCAS framework, it is done in two tracks. First is the compilation of environmental asset and flow accounts. So with the implementation of the PENCAS law, we aim to develop several accounts relevant to coastal and marine environments. So what are these accounts? So this would include the water asset and flow accounts, the biological resource accounts, such as fisheries accounts and mangrove accounts. And also in the coming years, we also plan to explore emissions flow accounts, such as wastewater, recognizing their critical importance for managing waterways in an archipelagic context such as the Philippines. So second is the Philippine government will also develop the ecosystem accounts. These ecosystem accounts basically consist of various individual environmental assets interacting within a spatial area to provide a range of ecosystem services, which is, we think, very useful when we assess the trade-offs within a geospatial area. As seen in your slide, it's basically the map of the Philippines and highlighting the 30 priority sites for the development of ecosystem accounts. So for specifically focusing on coastal and marine ecosystems, so I think some of the accounts that are currently being developed is on the fisheries production, on mangrove conservation, on coastal and marine conservation, and on coastal ecotourism. So these are not yet the full list of the priority sites. After the enactment or passage of the PENCAS law, our Minister of Environment will still be revisiting these priority sites, and we may come up with more list of priority sites for ecosystem account development. And yes, next slide, please. So in terms of a policy application, of course, natural capital accounts developed under the PENCAS law will be progressively integrated into countries' planning and policy process, starting with our development blueprint, which is the Philippine Development Plan, and then making sure that they are emphasized and highlighted, making sure that they are also monitored. And looking ahead, we also envision to make use of the NCA as part of our regulatory and investment process, such as when we conduct environmental impact assessments or when we do evaluate or appraise public investments programs. making sure that we integrate, for example, the environmental externalities into economic analysis. So for the long term, once a comprehensive set of accounts is established, we will endeavor to measure and to better understand the interrelationship between the economy and the environment, and this will further allow us to have better grasp of if and monitor as well if the country is really towards attaining a sustainable growth for the well-being of not just the current generation, but more so of the future generation of the Filipinos. I think that would be my last slide. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mary Jane. I think really it's really, how do you say, I wish that one day Malaysia could also have a certain kind of law that's enact like specifically on ocean accounting. Yeah, I guess this is why we have this regional dialogue, just to try and learn from other countries as well. So I guess our last speaker, I would like to welcome then Associate Professor Dr. Hazman Samsudin to share some of his thoughts and also experience in doing economic valuation in Malaysia. Over to you, Doctor.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Haira. Actually, I'm quite amazed looking at how Indonesia and Philippines have progressed in terms of ocean accounting. And I'm quite impressed that Philippines have their own act on ocean accounting, whilst in Malaysia, we doesn't have that. But anyway, I'm Hazman Samsudin. I'm the Director of Blue Economy Advancement Center in University of Malaysia Terengganu. And what we do as Beacon is we advise the government most of the time in terms of blue economy development. And in Malaysia, blue economy is quite new, and we are going to launch our Malaysia Blue Economy Blueprint very soon. And we already launched our 5 years planning, RMK 13, the Malaysia Plan 13, which for the first time we include the blue economy aspect. And ocean accounting is embedded under this umbrella, the Blue Economy Blueprint and RMK 13. So there is lots of work in progress, even though we don't have acts and things, but lots of work in progress. Next slide, please. Okay, as we can see that the blueprint of blue economy in Malaysia, we integrate the marine and coastal ecosystem into the definition of blue economy. Marine, by the way, the words of marine, it includes ocean and inland water system, rivers and lake. Having said that, the data that we are going to embed in the ocean accounting, including some of them are inlands, because we have to align with our blueprint and RMK 13 that have been announced just few days before. I think four days before. All right. So, as you can see in Malaysia, we tend to follow the SEA, the SEA ecosystem accounting system. So we have this 5 aspects to look at. We look at basically this is a basic. We look at the ecosystem, and then ecosystem quality and health, we assess them. And then we look what are the benefits that this system going to provide. And then we turns the benefits into monetary value. And then we're going to monitor the system. So that's what we're going to plan and already embed in the Blue Economy Blueprint and the Malaysia Plan 13. Next slide, please. But the challenges is in Malaysia, we are already we are already there. Some data we already have done lots of measurement in ocean accounting. We measured most of the things, but the thing is that all of the measurement are disintegrated. As we can see, some of the data for the ocean accounting, we have identified we need this four system. We can see the GIS and remote sensing, to identify the place. And then the natural capital accounting, this is the data that we're going to convert into GDP and things, and then the biodiversity assessment. And then we're going to monitor system through the AI. But all of these works is in different departments. That is the major challenge. And we are also a part of the state blue economy development. For example, we are the subject matter expert for Sabah blue economy development. And in Sabah, we have like what we call it, a council that sit on top of this department, so that we have a greater control and we have access to that. And we are going to suggest the same at the federal level, but it's up to them to accept that as the, how we work, get things going. Hopefully, by doing that way, it is easier for us to compile all of this data. So in Malaysia, I would like to say that most of the data are there, but it is a matter of compilation. Okay, next slide, please. So what data that we need, that we do for Malaysia accounting system? So we're going to embed economic data, of course, environmental, and then the other one is social. So we support the sustainability pillar, economy, environmental, and the social aspect, because we see that human as part of the ecosystem and it should not be neglected, and this data need to be collected as well. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so why we need this data? Okay, this is the thing that we are going to we already convinced the government, and they already take it seriously. They see that ocean accounting as an integral part of the development of the blue economy, because without data we don't have it is hard to attract investors and financing and things. So this is what we're going to do under RMK 13 and under the blue economy. Next is we're going to compile all of this data. And all of this data are as I said earlier, is in different departments, and some of them in the universities. For example, these four books just from me. And in university, we have thousands of lecturers. Of course, we have lots of data and research have been done. So there is lots of data information need to be compiled. So that is a big challenge. I just put an example. This is just some of my publication, just me. What we include all the others, it's going to be very huge, and we already have the data. So the data are very important as a means to financing. Next slide, please. Okay, so in financing the blue economy, this is the things that we have discussed in the blueprint and under the Malaysian Plan 13 Nation Plan. So there is some serious discussions on establishing the blue bonds, but again, we are still under study and discussions on how are we going to establish the blue bonds in Malaysia, but they are work in progress towards that. And blended finance, we already have that. It goes under the channel of CSR, Company Social Responsibility, and payment for ecosystem services. Actually, we have done that, I think, since I cannot recall since how many years before, but it's quite long time ago. But the thing is that the implementation was not good. The idea is good, but the implementation is something to be questioned. For example, we have that ban on plastic, so that when you go to the supermarkets, there's no plastic bag. But if you want the plastic bag, you have to pay. So that is the payment for ecosystem services, because you're going to damage the ecosystem, you have to pay for the plastic bag. It will cost you 20 cents for each plastic. But the question is that money doesn't go to the municipal council who going to manage all of the plastics. The that payment is going to the supermarkets. So they didn't manage that plastics, but they get the money. So in terms of implementation, there are some need to be, uh, to be looked at, and yes, and then we have others like impact investment, and then blue carbon credits. These are also in work in progress. And debt for nature swaps, we don't really have here in Malaysia, but it's just one of the options. I think that's all from me, and thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Hasman. I mean, obviously coming from Malaysia and also being part of those who engage with the ministry, I think they've been very positive about ocean accounting in Malaysia and see the need of it. We were once one of the pilot country that actually under UNEP, I think, that started with ocean accounting, but then I guess some things just didn't pick up for a while, and we're hopefully will restart this again once the Malaysia Blue Economy Blueprint starts to enroll. So thank you all for all the speakers. I think it was very enlightening and also insightful in terms of the sharing. We would like now to go into the panel discussion, and I'll invite each speaker to reflect briefly on some of the key questions. So first, maybe to Dr. Firdaus. It seems that Indonesia has taken steps to embed ocean accounts into its economic policies. So, what do you think when you were involved with this? I guess since 2020, and now it's like 5 years in. What are the main enablers for this ocean accounting to be put into place? For example, like was it leadership, coordination, some legal framework? For us, it's the disintegrated data system is actually one of the biggest hindrance for Malaysia. So I would like to know, like, what has been the most important enablers in making this transition possible for Indonesia?
Thank you, Dr. Khaira. Uh, that's that's very important question also, because this is very challenging, of course, in the beginning, even very daunting, because this is new, and ocean accounting, and similar with uh, environmental accounting. You have to engage so many different stakeholders, and in term of Indonesia, you have to engage with different ministries, different agencies, and also university, NGO, and local government. So governance is very important. So you have to make sure that you just mentioned there is a leadership, someone, a certain organization that lead the process. And second one, you have to make sure that everybody, every stakeholder understand the benefit of the initiative and the benefit of engagement. If you think as a minister or as a director general, when someone asks you to join the ocean accounting development, then the question is what the benefit for my ministry? Because I don't want to have more homework. I have a lot of work already. Why you ask me to join? So we have to find what is the key performance indicator from each ministry, each organization that we would like to engage. That the enabler, a very important enabler. So there is a leadership, there is coordination, but there is a mutual benefit that create mutual interest and create common agenda. So that's very critical, very important enablers. The second one is on the data collection, availability, resource capacity is, I think everybody excuse with the situation before they want to do the work on ocean accounting. So we have to use what we have. Don't wait until you consider you have everything. Do with data that you have, and make sure your data, your partners' data, your other ministries' data, your other organization partners' data can be joined together and create new information. Actually, that's what we were doing in the beginning because we don't have time in the time because we were in the pandemic and we don't have enough resources to do a field survey. But we do what we have, and then we expand and we do in more detail secondary and primary data together. And then the last one is, of course, you have to have a supportive policy, supportive legislation and regulation. This is important because as a government organization, everything should be based on regulation. Every funding spent should be based on the mandates. So you have to make sure that ocean accounting is part of your key performance indicator of your organization. And second, there is a legislation, there is a regulation, there is a mandate that can create a funding and create a practical activity in the field. So I think governance, data information availability, and policy support as three main enablers that we have learned very important during our journey in this ocean accounting. Back to you, Dr. Khaira.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Dr. Firdaus. Maybe on the same note, because you said that, having supportive policies and legislation would then making sure that this would happen. So to Miss Mary Jane, I would like to ask that since you have the PANCAS law, do you think that, how can you ensure that, or was it like it was enacted because of this, or was it the other way around, and how can you make sure that it is coordinated across sectors? Because I also see that you have the interagency committee. I guess that could be a very good way of making sure things are like going to start running on. But how was it? Was the act come first because it was difficult to get people to act on the ocean account, or was it the other way around for the Philippines?
Well, I think in the case of the Philippines, even prior to the enactment of the PENCAS law, we already have this interagency collaboration. So what's a good thing about the PENCAS law is it clarifies the individual tasks, the responsibilities of the concerned agencies, what will be the involvement of different sectors, for example, the private sector, the academe, the research institutions. So making sure that everyone is talking, everyone is, should there be any concerns or challenges regarding data generation, there is this platform that all of the stakeholders concerning the forestry, fisheries, mineral water, they're all talking with each other, and the data gaps, the data challenges are being addressed right away. And what's the good thing about this law as well is previously what's the good thing about having a definite legal framework is that regarding on the budget. So making sure that, for example, as the lead for this PENCAS law implementation, our Philippine Statistics Authority, there will be a dedicated unit, an additional unit under the Philippine Statistics Authority, who will be providing support. So there will be additional manpower to do the development of the natural capital accounts. And then budget, we could request for annual budget appropriations from the government if then necessary. So the law itself, it basically provides the push the basis for strengthen further the collaboration, the budget appropriations, and strengthen further the coordination among different sectors. But I guess we will continue to be working with the interagency committee, making sure that what we have committed in the PENCAS law will be operationalized, specifically in moving forward the activities that we have specified in the NCA roadmap that we also developed prior to the PENCAS law enactment. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So maybe this question will go to all, but I start with Dr. Hasman. Having listened to from Indonesia and the Philippines, and then looking ahead, do you see that ocean accounts would just would it be like some support for real decision making, or will it just be like more on reporting where you have like all this data together? And obviously it's good to have accessibility, interoperability between data, but then will it that also be used to help like real decision making, such as like investment planning, spatial prioritization? I think that could be very possible in the early time. But for us, like ASEAN countries especially, like will we be able to track like climate and also our biodiversity commitments? So Dr. Hasman, what are your thoughts?
Thank you for the question. I think that is an interesting question because we have a culture here in Malaysia. Everything must look good on paper. The implementation is second things, to discuss. But on paper, it must be good. But this is the thing that our leadership, current leadership, look at. We must make some things that is very impactful, not just on paper anymore. So if we say that blue economy is going to, uplift the social well-being and things, so we must show it into reality, not just on paper. We're having this, we're expecting income going to increase by how much and how much. It's not going to be that way anymore. So I think that this paradigm shift is important, and we are going towards evidence-based, policy and decision making. So our decision making, now have to made based on the availability of data and must be backed by real data, so that we're going to have a real implications. No more some things like uh, own thoughts and personal experience. Because this is sometimes when we are in the meeting, some of the, meetings chat by some people, I think, they start with I think. It's not just based on the data, but instead they start with I think. So that is the problem. When we start with I think, sometimes we don't collect the data. We don't have the perfect view on that. So our policy might be misguided and misfiring. So no more that practice. Now all are evidence-based. That's why we are pushing towards ocean accounting to be adopted in Malaysia. And everything must be backed by database. And that is how important it is, ocean accounting, in the Malaysia Blue Economy Blueprint and in RMK 13. And now everything must be data backed and must be tangible. The effect must be tangible nowadays. So, yep, I think that's it.
Thank you, Dr. Hasman. Maybe if Mary Jane, if you want to perhaps add on, do you see that it could then be like a tool for decision making, or would it just be more of like data collecting and integration, and a platform for data integration, ocean accounts?
Well, Well, definitely, that is actually part of the accounting system that we have put forward in the law and also in the NCA roadmap. That we will not end just on the collecting and the compilation, development of natural capital accounts, but more so as coming from a central planning agency, we have to make use of those accounts, as mentioned a while ago by our co-speaker, in spatial planning and investment programming and decision making, and other regulatory work of the government. We see the use of this ocean accounting. And may I just share that previously, we do generate ocean accounts. I think that is basically very limited to ocean-based industries. So it doesn't account other, ecosystem services. And because of the strong clamor for a more comprehensive assessment of the coast and marine sector, that is why we are pushing for this PENTAS law to make sure that we also take into account the other aspect of the sector, like as what are the potential or data when it comes to coastal protection, the carbon sequestration of the coastal marine sector or ecosystems, making sure that, because what we want to ensure is that this information will fit into the planning in terms of prioritization of our priorities in spatial planning, and also in prioritizing the investments that should be put forward by our national and local stakeholders.
Thank you for that, Ms. Mary Jane. And maybe last to Dr. Firdaus, have you actually, because I remember you said you have these 10 pilot sites, so have any of this information from the pilot sites been used to make like decision making elsewhere, or also in the same area, like for future planning and so on? Or has it only been that you collected and reporting, but not like circularly using it again for decision making effort?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Khaira. Maybe you can put my pilot site slide in the
Okay, I
screen.
will. Yeah,
We
sure.
have actually 12 pilot site, and we are finalizing the report. So the pilot site actually is spread out through the whole country area, from the west central to the east, and yes, mostly on marine protected area, but we also have non-marine protected area, and we use this as a model actually to replicate. And now we are working on other five or six additional pilot. Then we will have a very complete picture of Indonesian uh, different profile of marine and coastal area, and then we can use every different profile, every different characteristic to have a different management action and policy development in Indonesia. Next slide. So actually we have still a lot of homeworks to do. We have 12 pilot site, but according to the Global Ocean Account Partnership Guideline on Ocean Accounting, actually we have 7 module or account. We only develop 5, and none of the pilot site already had 5 module or account. So for example, the first one, the Klimatra Island in West Nusa Tenggara, from 5 we only have 4. We still try to develop the ocean economy. And for Anambas Island, this is close to Malaysia and Singapore, we have a 4 account module, and we still need to develop the governance. And the other is, for example, the northern coast of Java is very heavily populated and industrialized, and we only have 1 account, ecosystem asset. But the very fundamental account is actually the ecosystem asset, because this is the one that will be the basis for every additional account. Once you have the ecosystem asset, then you can do a lot of good things in your planning, in your spatial planning, in your permit system, in your investment plan, in your benefit sharing, in your climate change adaptation and mitigation. So that is actually the first priority. And then, of course, it's very ideal if you also develop the flow to economy, because then you know the your ecosystem asset value is this amount, this billion US dollar, million US dollar, whatever you would like to use the currency. You have to know how much flow to the economy, how much sector get the benefit, how much the benefit received by the stakeholder, the community, for example, because you can track on your flow to economy aspect where this flow go through, or who received the flow, who received the economic flow. That's very, very important in the term of benefit sharing of the uh, marine resources. So the work's still there, but we have the good way to go there, and I think other country can learn from what we have been doing. Thank you. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think definitely I myself would want to talk more and would love to listen more, to ask more questions. But I think this is where we're supposed to end. But before that, maybe I'll just give a bit of a wrap up. It's definitely, it's not just, you know, on the progress made, but also like seeing like the structural and strategic shift from Indonesia and also from Philippines. I think there's a lot to learn, and how we need to embed ocean and natural capital accounts into national systems and the importance of it. So from, you know, data collection, data integration, legal reforms, and also to interagency coordination, and also some of the investment opportunities. It's clear that while the pathway may differ for each country, but the commitment to long-term institutionalization is shared priority across the region. And I think we can see this because with the ASEAN Blue Economy Framework, we catered it differently to different country, but then we have like shared and common agenda of making sure that the ocean is sustainable, I mean, for long-term usage. So I guess that's all from me, and I'd like to hand over to Dr. Cheryl from UNSW to lead us through the closing reflection and also some of the preview of what ahead in the session.
So today's session has shown us that the journey from projects, these little projects, to policy takes many forms. And we've seen Indonesia in integrating ocean accounts to their planning on MSP, as well as their circular economy planning, and how Philippines is institutionalizing this approach through the landmark legislation, the PENCAS law in 2024, and how Malaysia is connecting ocean data to blue economy financing. So what's particularly encouraging is how each country, very different, finding their own pathways that work within their unique institutionalized context, perhaps landmark legislation, or starting from pilots, while addressing shared challenges and, of course, opportunities. So I think the key message that I'm taking away is that successful integration requires not just good scientific data, but also strong partnerships and supporting legal frameworks. And can I add a sustained political commitment as well? So these are simply building blocks that transform these little projects that we have into lasting policy tools. So looking ahead, a regional dialogue is done monthly. So please mark your calendars for our upcoming session as we continue on discussing governance and sustainability themes. And perhaps at the end of August or beginning of September, we will have another session on renewable energy. We'll have someone from the UK, in Australia, and from Malaysia to discuss renewable energy. So as the session materials and today's recording, um, or anything related to the regional dialogue, They are all available through the QR codes on your screen. And once again, thank you for the engaged participation and your thoughtful questions. And we look forward to this important conversation in our next session. Until then, take care and goodbye, everyone.